Welcome back, everyone. Toy Shiz here, and we are back yet again for another Super 7 TMNT Ultimates video. The 2003 Turtles. Kind of have a love-hate relationship with that series, if I'm being quite honest with you. If you can get past the opening theme song, well, there was a pretty cool cartoon. I will say that. More on that in just a few. First and foremost, for today, we have Michelangelo. And I have to say, the boxes look great. The clip art looks great. Back in the day, for coloring books and all the advertisements, this artwork was everywhere. And it stood out because of the oranges and whatnot. It was very highlighted in that sense. Leonardo, he looks pretty solid as well. And I will say, with this artwork, with the look, with the attitude, the personality that it brought, it was very key to this particular series because this was one of the last times of it being the Ninja Turtles in the sense of, oh, it's not heavily departing from what we know, whereas nowadays you go, wow, the Ninja Turtles have evolved into something completely different. More on that again in just a few, because as you'll notice, Raphael doesn't have the attributes that he sort of has today with most of the TMNT iterations. And just to point out on the back, Raphael with the red bandana, and in the circle, he has an orange bandana. So what happened there? Donatello doing machines, doing his thing. The last time we kind of saw Donatello before really going full-blown into the scientist with the glasses and everything else. And you know what I'm talking about if you've been following TMNT all these years. I did get these from Super 7. I ordered the bundle. The bundle came in, and of course, I got the extra head portrait pack, which I am stoked on. Now, in terms of the cartoon series, like I said, bit of a love-hate relationship with it. I did watch it. I watched the heck out of it, and I did enjoy it, but more so for the fact that they really adapted the Mirage comics, and that was a really key aspect of this series. And when they did it right, it was awesome. And then they kind of made some choices here and there where I was like, okay, I guess that's kind of interesting. And then other choices where I was like, yeah, I guess that's kind of cool. I don't know why you're messing with the formula here. But in terms of battling Shredder and the storyline and City at War and the clones and everything else, yeah, Leonardo did cut Shredder's head off. And a lot of people that watched that cartoon, including me, went, wow, that's pretty good for a Foxbox cartoon. Heck yeah. And then you went, oh, wait, no, that was an interesting story choice right there. So there were a lot of ups and downs for this series, but largely it was cool, especially when they did Turtles Forever. I did enjoy that series, even though they really ragged on the 80s cartoon a lot. And then they made Hun into Slash, which, again, interesting choice. But as long as we don't mention Flash Forward, we're all good in my book. Now, before we get started, if you're interested in grabbing any of these for yourself, you can no longer get the grab bag pack from Super 7, but you can go to Entertainment Earth, and at least they got 2 out of the 4 turtles as of this video, so you can grab those. And if you use the code EARTH10, you get 10% off. So that ain't a bum deal by any means, especially with prices what they are these days. Oh, by the way, just as a heads up, while I, again, dislike certain things with the 2003 Turtles here, this is going to be it for me. I'm not going to go after Casey Jones and Splinter and Shredder. I don't really care for the designs. The Turtles, good enough for me, and I'll explain why at the very end of this video. So, this is going to be an absolute blast. Sit back, relax, grab yourself a nice hot cup of coffee. This is a look at the entire first wave of the brand new 2003 TMNT series, Michelangelo, Donatello, Leonardo, and Raphael by Super 7. And just before we get started, I want to say a quick thank you to everyone who continues to watch my YouTube channel. We sure do have a lot of fun around here talking Ninja Turtles and all kinds of toys, both old and new. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. We'd love to have you on board, and stay tuned to my San Diego Comic-Con 2025 coverage. I'll see you all on the con floor. So with that being said, every single turtle comes with the exact same hands. So you get open hands, and you get fisted hands, and then you get some weapon holding hands, and that's it. But they're all shaded accordingly to that particular turtle. So that's pretty cool. Then you get the shell cell. Now, all 4 turtles come with the exact same shell cell. It has some nice paint. It's got some nice details. It's a nice little pack-in to the box. I will say that. The only problem is that with the aforementioned hands, you don't really get hands that really allow you to appropriately hold the shell cell. and you're going to have to heat up the only open hand that you get that would even remotely work as such. So it's kind of awkward in that sense. The shell cell would have been really cool, let's say, if you had ones that were open, as you see, and ones that were closed. That way you get a little bit of variety between each of the 4 turtles. Now, of course, you're gonna get weapons. Every Ninja Turtle needs the appropriate weapons. Raphael has his sai. If I'm being honest, the artwork kind of fluctuates. I think the sai are a little bit too short for my liking. It does kind of fit, and it kind of doesn't at the same time. I think they're a little bit too small. You see the red wrappings, they started doing that with this iteration. You can stick it on the belts, so you get some weapon storage there. And yes, you can do the cool hand-holdy thing with the sai that Raphael loves to do. So it kind of checks all the boxes, but I'm still going to say that the sais are a little bit too teeny tiny for my likings. Then you have Leonardo. Leonardo has some excellent weapon storage. Again, blue on the wrappings of the katana. Blue means Leonardo, in case you kids at home forgot, in 2003. He does have the appropriate hands, although I will say this, don't be afraid, and this goes to all companies, to just sculpt the weapons into the hands. I would prefer that. And again, like I said, the katanas slip right into the sheaths, and they do look good doing so. Michelangelo has several options, and to be honest, he's kind of the coolest Ninja Turtle out of the bunch, as he should be. Now, you get a little bit of weapon storage in the front. The nunchucks themselves have a real metal chain, so that's a nice aspect to them. And yes, it has orange wrappings as well. They come apart just like many NECA toys Michelangelos have done in the past. Super 7 has now concocted their version of the spinny whirly bob for the nunchucks. So it's a nice effect, and it does work, although I wouldn't say it really spins all too well. It's going to pop off the nunchuck part. It looks cool, especially if you have dual wielding spinning nunchucks. So again, that's why Mikey is the coolest. Donatello, for whatever reason, I feel like he kind of gets the short end of the stick, which he does have plenty of weapon storage for in the back of his belt on his shell. Purple means Donatello, in case you didn't wonder. Now, the bow staff does not come apart like prior iterations of Donatello, let's say with NECA toys, but you can definitely do his Donatello pose right there. That's really how I've done that ever since the Playmates days. So through and through, though, they all look good, but really where these come to life are the expressions. And that was a big aspect of the 2003 series. They all had these little expressions that really brought the cartoons to life. Like Raphael here with a wide open mouth and some wild eyes going on, very angular. By the way, you can move the bandanas left and right, so that gives a little bit more expression. That's nice to see. Leonardo has a bit of a sneer going on. A lot of these expressions are kind of the Playmates toys, the original series cartoon TMNT Playmates toys, and then, yeah, full-blown from this 2003 animated series. But like I said, nunchucks in hands spinning around with this head portrait on Michelangelo, he's having a blast. I'm having a blast. And then you have Donatello, which, if I'm not mistaken, is based off either the toy or kind of how he looks in the opening credits crawl when they do that 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's stuck in your head. Enjoy that. My God. But one thing about Donatello, as I pointed out, is that this is around the time they really started to lean into that whole he does machines and start giving him goggles and he'd start wearing them. And I will say, they look pretty cool. You can slip them around any of the bandanas on his head portraits. It goes right over his eyes and they stay beautifully. And if you don't like that bug-eyed look for Donatello, well, the other nice aspect is that you can go full sunglass mode and just have him right above his eyes, nestled on his green turtle forehead. So that looks pretty darn cool. Also, like I said, I got the pack from Super 7, so you got the extra bonus portraits, which I really didn't think much about these. I just thought, well, if I'm going to get these turtles, I got to go all in. Now, on the backside of the packaging, it's a little bit of a wink and a nod to the Playmates packaging of old. You got all the turtles. This is not for resale, even though mine's already coming apart. Let's just open it up and show you. Raphael definitely needed this head portrait. That's just full grit and teeth mode. Leonardo looking a little bit sassy here. He's the leader, so he's a little bit more solemn. I totally dig that head portrait. Michelangelo, again, the winky eye, one wild eye. He's kind of got like the reverse Two-Face thing going on, teeth, all of that. And then Donatello, Yeah, he looks like he's looking for something in his teeth. But like I said, all of these kind of harken to expressions from the shows, the toys, and whatnot, so they all fit appropriately in so many ways. Now, up to this point in the video, you're probably thinking, he likes him, he digs him, home run, Super 7. Well, when it comes to the articulation, of which we're going to use Leonardo, because he has a few extra parts and pieces like his belt here that could kind of get in the way, so we'll use this as an example, but all of the turtles have the exact same bodies, exact same articulation. You get plenty of articulation in the head and the neck. It's 2 pieces. You can get him looking up fairly well, although it will kind of collide to the back of the shell. Like I said, you can twist the bandanas on every single head portrait. You can also pop them out if you're careful. But I like that in the posing sense, of which I'll show you, because the bandanas, with all the wispiness, kind of give it that extra little oomph when posing them out. But I like the head articulation. The neck, the head, it all suits this turtle well. When it comes to the arms, everything on this figure is ratcheted in some way, and that includes the shoulders, the biceps. They all have double jointed elbows, which is totally fine. It does look a little bit mechanical. I normally don't like that, and I don't think it looks the best, but it's curious to see Super 7 trying something new. It's almost like an import figure, something different, something new. So I do applaud them for trying that. The wrists, you're going to get very little articulation except for spinning, and sometimes when moving them, the hands will unfortunately pop out. You do have a waist and kind of sort of a turtle crunch in there. And if you look in the front right here, this is more of a gummy overlay. So when you start moving the legs forward, nothing gets in the way, nothing hinders it. Now, with the legs, and I'm just going to point this out, because in prior Super 7 TMNT offerings, things are known to be brittle, break, the whole 9 yards. So Super 7, just saying, taking my precautions, nothing broke, nothing snapped. I like this new articulation scheme. You have some thigh swivel, you got double jointed knees. The knee pads, and much like the elbow pads, really don't hinder anything. In fact, it's kind of nice to see a new articulation scheme, Super 7. However, if I'm being honest, this may have been best as a first pass and maybe kind of tighten it up on a second pass. The feet will rock, you have peg holes on the bottom of the feet, but toe articulation really would have benefited these figures. That all being said, I like the poses that you can get out of these figures. Now, it's not going to be, wow, that's amazing, but there's enough there for me to go, this is fun. I'm actually having some fun with this. When it comes to the turtle shell, and you can tell me down in the description below, I looked it up. Yes, to double check, the turtle shells in the show are this green, although they kind of vary with shading. The Playmates figures back in the day were brown, so that's where I kind of had that disconnect. I'm like, wait a minute, is that accurate? They could have been a little bit more, we'll say, darkish, greenish, brownish. I would have preferred that. But like I said, in terms of posing these out, getting the legs, the arms, having fun with Michelangelo, with the expressions and his whirly bob nunchucks, these are cool, but in many ways, these are kind of baby's first TMNT figures, whereas NECA Toys seems very grizzled on the subject. Plus, they do remind me of McFarlane Toys from time to time because of the plastic stressing that you see. Now, in terms of the scale, from Super 7 to NECA Toys to Playmates Toys, these TMNT Ultimates are a little bit smaller, so they more so line up with what NECA Toys is doing. And that's where it gets very beneficial to a collector like me, because if you're a fan of the 2003 series, and then also the movie Turtles Forever, all of these figures work together beautifully. From the Mirage, to the cartoon TMNT, to now the 2003, heck yeah, what a collection on your shelf. So, that's going to wrap it up for my quick look at this brand new wave of TMNT Ultimates by Super 7, the 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And overall, when you have them posed out on your shelf with all the expressions, all the various heads, the weapons and whatnot, they do look great. It's when you start to articulate them that you think, well, maybe a second pass, maybe a third pass, just to kind of tighten up the articulation. They were definitely onto something here, but I don't like seeing stress marks when I start to move the parts and pieces. And then also the fact that they look a little bit overly mechanical in the joints. That would be my only gripes. But again, like I said, I do like that Super 7 tried something new here, and I'm curious to see where this will go in the future, especially with Wave 2 and whatnot. The weapons are pretty solid. The extras leave you a little bit to be desired, we'll say that. But through and through, if you're a fan of the 2003 TMNT, you'll probably like these figures. So you've heard my thoughts, and now I'm curious to know yours. Comment below, let me know. Let's talk everything Super 7 2003 TMNTs. And until the next one, I will leave you guys with that. Adios.